my last video, I mentioned that I went to go see the Dogman movie and how I wanted to talk about it, so that's what I'm doing today. If you haven't seen the Dogman movie, I highly encourage you to go watch it, especially since this video is going to be full of spoilers for the entire movie. But with that out of the way, let's just get right into it. I do want to say that I've never read the Dogman books. In my last video, I mentioned that I went with my younger brother because he really loves the Dogman books. I have heard a few things about what happens in the books from other people, but other than that, I know nothing about the books, and this movie is as close as I know about them, or what happens in them, so I don't know how similar the movie is to the books. The movie starts off with Dogman. Well, he's not really Dogman yet, but I'm still just gonna call him Dogman, and his owner, Greg, I think that was his name, chasing after Petey. They get trapped on top of a building, and there's a bomb on top. Greg ends up cutting the wrong wire, and it goes off. Both Dogman and Greg are taken to the hospital, and Greg cannot use his head since it was too damaged, and Dogman can no longer use his body since it's been too damaged. So the nurses come up with a great idea to sew the dog's head onto the man's body, thus creating Dogman. Still trying to capture Petey, and he does quite a few times, but Petey always escapes from cat jail. Eventually, Petey comes up with the great idea to make a clone of himself, and it takes a while, but that makes Little Petey, and I love Little Petey so much. He's so adorable. But Petey also has another plan to bring back a dead fish, because there's like a living spray factory and he can put the fish in there and it'll make the fish come back alive. And apparently the fish was a huge villain back in the day. Though Petey does decide to give up Little Petey, and there's a little joke here that I thought was funny because Petey puts Little Petey in a free cat box, and this lady goes up to him and he's like, "Okay, how much is it?" He's like, "It's free." And she goes, "Yeah, but how much is it?" Petey does end up leaving Little Petey behind, and then Dogman comes in to save Little Petey from getting hit by a semi-truck. Dogman and Little Petey have great moments together, but Petey finds out that Dogman has Little Petey and he gets all mad and jealous, so he takes his child back. Though, remember the plot point with the fish? It comes back, he comes alive, and he also like clogged up the spray factory thing, and it ended up like making the spray shoot everywhere, so now the building comes alive. And a lot of other buildings end up coming alive as well. And Little Petey is going to be taken by the fish because Petey programmed the fish to take care of all do-gooders, and Little Petey is the best do-gooder of them all. Petey switches places with Little Petey, and they are able to stop the fish from actually like killing Petey. And then in the end, Petey and Dogman end up sharing custody of Little Petey, basically. There is a lot I skimmed over with this because so much happens. Something is always happening, but the pace doesn't feel too awful. This movie just feels crazy, unapologetically so, and that's why I love it so much. The animation is also phenomenal, especially with the 2D aspects put into the 3D. It never looks out of place, and it just makes it feel so much more interesting and dynamic. And I really like the eyes of the characters. It's a very small thing, but I like them, especially since they're just little black dots with some white in there and a little bit of color at the bottom. They somehow have a lot of expression on their face, especially in the eyes. And that's pretty cool. I might be obsessing over little details a bit too much though, honestly. I also feel like the environment of the city was very well crafted, and just it really helped you get pulled into the world of Dogman, and I really, really love Petey's super secret base. The big glowing signs that point to it saying, "It's here, look, Petey's secret base," and everybody's just like, "Huh? Where's Petey?" It didn't annoy me. It kind of reminded me of like the cartoon trope where a character is stuck behind, like in jail, and the bars are like big enough for them to squeeze through. But they're still like, "Oh no, I'm trapped here, I can't get out." And I laughed at a lot of the jokes. Some of them I was just like, really? But the kids that were in the theater I was in laughed, and you know, as long as they thought it was funny, I guess that's all that matters. Another thing that I want to touch on is the voice acting. It was phenomenal, I loved it, and I didn't even realize that Pete Davidson was in this movie, even though it said at the end of the trailer he was in there. I somehow just didn't catch that. So whenever I was in the theater just watching the credits because I wanted to see if there was like a post-credit scene or something, I saw his name and I was like, "What? Pete Davidson was in this movie?" And Dogman really did sound like a dog, I guess? Like, okay, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I saw the Paw Patrol movie a long time ago with my younger cousin because he really loves Paw Patrol, and I used to watch it as a kid. So we were watching it together, and there was this one scene where Ryder and Chase, which if you've seen Paw Patrol, you know who they are. I'm not going to explain, but Ryder was like, "Come on, howl, you love to howl," or something, and Chase started howling. But it was very clearly fake, and Dogman sounded so real in this movie, and I couldn't help but think of the Paw Patrol movie for some reason. There is a lot more I could talk about with this movie, because like I said, a bunch happens, which is why if you haven't seen it, that's why I encourage you to watch it. You could still watch this video and go watch the movie and be surprised by all the stuff that happens in there. But that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching this video in its entirety, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Goodbye!